Our next speaker is a self-trained wine expert, and he revolutionized the wine industry and is admired for creating a new generation of branding, focusing on the internet and leveraging social media tools. Here is the social media sommelier, Gary Vaynerchuk.
I'm going to use the chair as well. I love social media because it sells shit. Actually, I have too much energy for this. I'm obsessed with storytelling. I think we've been sitting here today, and I've been so inspired sitting in the green room watching all of these amazing people talk about their stories. My context to the world is about business. I love selling stuff. It's in my DNA. It's where I come from. I'm going to create a little bit of context with a lot of you right now. Actually, let's do this to see if I can avoid it. How many people in here have no idea who I am? Raise your hand. Shit, that hurt. But expected. So I'll do that. I will create context. I was born in Belarus, in the former Soviet Union, in Soviet Russia. I came to America when I was 3 years old. I grew up in a very immigrant household. 8 family members in a studio apartment, an eighth of the size of this stage. I love my parents so much. They're my idols. The way my dad worked, the way he created a scenario where my mom stayed home, and really ultimately the way my mom parented me. I'm so thankful to be in this great country, and more importantly, so thankful that I was able to execute against my DNA. When I was 5 and we moved to Edison, New Jersey. My dad got a job in Clark, New Jersey. I started my first business. I had 8 lemonade stands, and I put all my friends to work. Do you guys remember Big Wheels, that little kind of like bike? I used to ride my Big Wheels around Edison, New Jersey, and picking up my cash at the end of the day like I was little Tony Soprano or something. I wasn't a prima donna. The reason my friends were behind the register wasn't because I didn't want to do that work. It's because I walked up and down the streets of Edison, New Jersey, and I would literally sit on the grass or the curb for hours watching every car drive by to try to figure out where to put the sign on which tree or which pole to most likely sell lemonade. I've always been completely obsessed with the attention and where the eyeballs and ears are of the people that I'm trying to sell my product to. When I was 13, I started my first real big business. I was selling baseball cards in the malls of New Jersey, making $2,000 to $3,000 a weekend. I don't know about you guys, but when you have 30 G's in cash under your bed and you're 14 and you're not selling weed, you're doing a good job. So I was proud of that. That was good. My dad then ruined my life. When I was 14, he dragged me into the liquor store and paid me $2 an hour to bag ice for 15 hours a day. So I went from making $3,000 a weekend doing the thing I loved to making $30 a day bagging ice for 15 hours a day. It was a really big downgrade. It's kind of where my life got a little bit tough there for a little bit. We are living through the biggest culture shift of our time, my friends. We are living through the biggest culture shift of our time. The internet, not Facebook, not Twitter, not Tumblr, Instagram, Pinterest. The internet is basically only 18 years old, right? Windows 95 brought us online. It's only been about 18, 17, 19 years since you first heard cuckoo, remember that thing? I mean, there's some youngsters here. We used to pay $3 a minute to be on the internet. AOL, those assholes, Jesus. I love social media. I love technology, but I don't love it. I love the thought of where are my customers going, where are people going, how can I tell my story in the best, most efficient way. I did not grow up techie. I didn't even have my first computer until I was 20 years old. I didn't even been on a computer until I was 18 years old. This is not something that I'm like pumped about. I'm now friends with all the coolest kids in Silicon Valley, and we always have these great business discussions, but when it turns to, hey, remember your first Apple IIe? I'm like, no, don't talk about this shit, nerds. Damn it. What I'm obsessed with is we just heard some remarkable people, and they're trying to tell their stories, and they're telling them in traditional ways. You can't scale this. Most people aren't fortunate enough. This is an amazing opportunity for all of us to get together and hear this stuff. They go and they want to be on TV and write books and be on CNN. Is that me? Hope not. Is that me? Am I going to go to a mic? Cool. I'm so fired up, I'm breaking shit. So, we're living through the biggest culture shift of our time. 3 years ago, I started a social media agency, and I work with the biggest brands in the world. Luckily, we have a very big company, GE, the NFL, Oprah Winfrey Network, Pepsi, Kraft, Green Mountain Coffee, great, great brands. And meanwhile, they're mismarketing. Let me ask you guys a question. Let's get a little interactive. I need hands. I don't want your half-ass hand. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get here. I want full hands. Ready? How many people here have reconnected with somebody because of Facebook that they had not spoken to in over 5 years prior to that? Please raise your hands. Oh, weird, all of you. 10 years, please raise your hands. 95% of the people in this room have reconnected with somebody on Facebook that they had not spoken to in over 10 years because of this platform. I believe that for us to tell our stories and convert, whatever you're selling, whether it's wine, whether it's a concept, whether it's any other product, we have to understand that we're living through the biggest shift of the attention, the eyeballs and ears of people of our time. That many of us are spending tons of effort and tons of energy telling stories where people no longer are. We are now spending tons of our times in new platforms. Let me ask you guys another question. How many people in this room, in every 24-hour window, even while you're sleeping, are within arm's reach of your telephone? Please raise your hands. Unbelievable. 90% of you. This is crack cocaine that was promised. This is it. This is the robot we were all promised, but it doesn't clean my room. We now have to figure out how to storytell in a world where we're consuming on this screen, where time is a real problem because we have so much supply being thrown at us. Eric Schmidt, chairman of Google, said the amount of content we're now producing as human beings in every 48-hour window is equal to the amount of content, music, songs, videos, information that we created from the beginning of mankind until 2003. No wonder our kids are ADD. So what, you think your big story or your product or your awesome service is gonna break through in that noise? We've heard, how many people in this room, by show of hands, have heard the concept of content is king? Please raise your hand, just for context for me. Quite a bit. Content is king. It's gotta be good, you've gotta be good. But the word that I want you to leave with today is context. We are now battling in a war of context. How do we create context to buy permission and equity to then tell you about my product and service? Because in a world where there's that much supply, the shocking thing that nobody's talking about is the supply of effort and actually giving a crap about other human beings. That is very limited because we're busy, right? Remember when the world shut off when you got home, when that piece of crap phone wasn't with you or you couldn't get the information? You could actually live your life, you could do things. But now we're on 24/7, 365. And what has happened is we now just don't care about people as much as we think we do. As a matter of fact, I would argue that over the last 50 to 67 years, businesses in general, for all the talk of customers first, haven't given a rat's ass about the customer. I believe that every single person in this room's grandparents are more prepared to be successful in the future than we are because the way your grandparents built their business was through true hustle and true caring and context. Small town rules, my friend. Because this is how Butcher Bob lived his life. Butcher Bob, the second you walked in, started cutting your roast beef because he knew. And guess what else? If you went into that shop and Butcher Bob screwed with you, you would tell everybody at the PTA meeting, and Butcher Bob's business went out of business. That's how local businesses used to go out, because the context of the community circulated, and then that business was hurt. Then we started moving. We started moving from downtown, suburbs, this, that, and the other thing, and we lost our collective power. And then we started proving to retailers and other services that we cared about price. And we do, and we should. But in the world now, where price is a commodity that we now know on hand at all times, we're walking around with information, my friends. You know what Best Buy's up to? They're trying to scramble your mobile information so you can't walk into Best Buy and see the Amazon prices. That's a really good way to go out of business. How many people here have children that are 12 to 20? Man, you're fast as crap. That was good, man. We need to talk. I like that quick draw. How many people in this room have children, nieces or nephews or grandchildren that are in the ages of 12 to 24? Please raise your hand. Quite a bit. Do you remember 3 years ago when you had this conversation? Hey, little Johnny, I don't give a crap how you talk with your other friends, but when your father or mother call, you pick up the damn phone. You remember that? Just curious, how's that working out for you? There are grown-ass men in this room that have texted LOL and OMG in the last 24 hours. Technology is not your friend. Technology doesn't care about the way you view this new stuff. You know what I hate the most is when I talk to 50, 60, 70, 80, 90-year-olds. They're like, Gary, I didn't grow up with this. I don't get it. I didn't grow up with it. You didn't grow up driving and you figured that shit out. Right? This is effort. This is psychology. This is a different game. Yes, it's new and it's different, but it's actually quite funny. I like to say, as the world is going more Jetsons, the people in this room that act most like the Flintstones are going to win. Because what's happening, my friends, is that we actually appreciate effort. The way I was able to amass 980,000 followers on Twitter, meanwhile, none of you know who the heck I am, is because I went on Samize.com, which is now twitter.com/search, and I brought value. See, the reason so many people struggle with the ROI of social media and what value does it bring to my business is because all of you default into wanting to talk. How many people here the first time they heard of Twitter thought it was the dumbest crap they'd ever heard of? Go ahead, I didn't make it, raise your hands. You know why you did? Because you defaulted into, what am I gonna say? Who cares if I'm walking the dog? Nobody cares that I'm eating pizza, and you defaulted into the human traits that we all do and every business does, which is you want to talk. Back in the day, if you wanted to sell something, if you had the most money, you bought a commercial during Happy Days, 40% of the whole damn country watched it, and you pushed your message down their throat, you put stacks of it in every store, and you sold. We are living through the fragmentation of our interests and our society because our eyeballs and ears are going to different places. Meanwhile, most people continue to market and try to tell their story like it's 2005, even though we're going into 2013. We know this because we live it. Watch this. How many people here, besides live sports, DVR or TiVo, the far majority of the TV shows they watch? Please raise your hands. 85, 90%. Just curious, of all of you, how many of you have fast-forwarded every single commercial this year? Raise your hand. Oh, weird, all of you. Meanwhile, my clients spend tens of millions of dollars making commercials trying to reach you, and they listen to some bullshit Nielsen ratings that tell you they have the DVR numbers when they can't. See, the funny thing is people ask me, Gary, what's the ROI of marketing on Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and all this stuff? I don't see the ROI. Meanwhile, they're so worried about the ROI of the new stuff where everybody, oh, by the way, is quietly and quickly and loudly going, and we're not respecting the diminishing of the places where we market before. We don't respect the diminishing of TV consumption. I just spoke to, with all due respect to you, the talk I gave earlier, the greatest group of all time, these juniors, and you know what? They're watching YouTube. They're not watching TV. They're looking in their phone. They're spending their eyeballs and ears in different places. You know what's my favorite? Outdoor media. I have clients spending millions of dollars on billboards and bus stop ads. Guys, do me one favor. You've seen much smarter, much more profound speakers than me, but just do me one little favor. When you go home, when you're driving, look out the window and watch 5 drivers. Just 5, right? I promise you, 3 of them are texting while they're driving. Oprah's right. It's dangerous out there. Guys, people aren't looking at outdoor media. They're not even looking at the friggin' road. We all have something we want to say, whether you're B2B or education or B2C, we're all in the same game. Our consumers, the people we want to tell story to, their eyes and their ears and their attention, it's shifting. And it's shifting really, really, really fast. Yet, we continue to hold on to the way it was, the way it's going to be. Just curious, how many people here clicked a banner ad willingly in the last year? Raise it, it's okay. 7. $15 billion industry. Right? So they think they're doing digital. You think you're doing digital because you do banner ads? You're disrupting my flow. The worst thing in the world right now is mobile banner ads, right? You've got like no screen and you're like putting this half banner. Can't even get a right? I hate companies. By the way, if you have a company and you do a mobile banner ad, I'm never buying a piece of crap from you in my entire life. There's only one thing that I'm more guaranteed of then the sun comes up tomorrow. Only one. Marketers, as a proud one myself, marketers ruin everything. It's what we do. We find something shiny and we squeeze the crap out of it. Click through on banner ads in 1994, a long time ago, 71%. Just a little while ago, 3.0. This year, 0.1. How many people here, by show of hands, signed up for Groupon or Living Social or Guild Group, one of these deal-of-the-day email services? Please raise your hand. Looks like about half. Remember 3 years ago when you couldn't wait to get spa treatments that are $80 for $40, or you just couldn't wait to get your hands on $80 worth of sushi for $40? Remember that? How great that felt? Just curious, how do you like those services now? You hate them because they pounded you until you started bleeding, right? And now that you don't give a crap if they're offering you $1 million home for $100, you're like, delete, spam shit, get the hell out of here. That's right. Over the next 4 to 5 years, the people in this room that want to tell a story, sell something, move something, do something, have to figure out 2 things. How do you, in this world, jab, 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 right hook? How do you use things like twitter.com/search and search what people are talking about and realize that we have a cocktail party going out in the world right now that you are more than welcome to join, and if you do, you're viewed upon in a good way, not a negative way. And how do you build up context to actually have a relationship so that when you natively figure out how to talk on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Pinterest, not what all of you are doing for your businesses and services, which is you're using them as distribution models. You're taking an email or a banner ad or some other video and you're just sticking it out there and you're hoping it works, and then you're like, but it doesn't work. Once you understand how to truly storytell on these platforms, after you've built up context and emotion, you will then start understanding. Let me tell you why I asked you to tell me who you've reconnected with. We have more relationships, acquaintances, lightweight friends, strangers. We carry more relationships now than our parents and grandparents ever could. Because of these platforms, we're reconnecting. And for a lot of you, you've reconnected with people that you went to grammar school with or high school or college, so you actually have context for them. Their word and their views on services and products matter so much more to you than some cockamanian banner ad or page 147 in Vogue or a radio ad that you happen to hear. It comes with context, emotional context to the relationship, which then converts you at a higher scale. This is word of mouth. This is what's always mattered. But now, because of the maturity of the internet, as it's getting into its early 20s, we are now mapping not just information, but social connections. And things like Facebook have mapped the social graph, but next we're gonna be playing on the interest graph and the things we care about. And the fact that this information is out there and we can use it to market to people is one of the great opportunities of all time. But oh, beware. In 4 or 5 years, once everybody figures out what I'm up to and what I'm talking about, we're all gonna ruin it. And people are gonna tweet something like, going skiing this weekend, and 50 different ski companies are gonna send that some free stuff. They're gonna literally send that person free stuff, because it's actually cheaper for these guys right here to send me a pair and make me a client by having a direct relationship versus renting my attention possibly on billboards and during the Olympics and all that other horse crap. What the internet is doing is cutting out the middle. And businesses and brands are now gonna go direct to consumer and actually build relationship. But we're gonna screw it up. You know why? Because every business on social media right now is acting like a 19-year-old dude. They're trying to close on the first move. And this actually takes patience and building an actual relationship. See, everybody talks about acquisition. All of you are thinking about how to get more. All of you are hunters. We break down into hunting when we want to tell our story or sell something. I'm telling you right now, we've just gone through the greatest era of hunting over the last 70 years, and the future of winning and accomplishing what the hell you care about in this room is going to be figuring out how to be the best hunter, how to be the best farmer. That is going to be the game. How to actually keep that customer. How to have lifetime value. What percentage of wallet do you have? By having an emotional context with your customer, you have a shot to win. The days of just talking about how much you love your customer are coming to an end. Because my friends, because of these platforms, and you know it, for the first time ever, the deers have shotguns. They do. And they will talk about the things you do. And so I promise you, if you can figure out how to first care about the people in your world and your organization, because the only thing more important than the customer are your employees and your teammates. Care about them. trickle that down into the trenches, recognize that the consumer's bullshit radar is greater than ever, and recognize that the attention of that consumer is shifting in front of our eyes, figure out how to natively talk there, and actually give a crap for the first time. Not just your bottom line, but go for a long play instead of short-term good feelings, and I promise you, you'll have a much better chance of succeeding in the thank you economy. Thank you. I notice I have a minute.
Great, we'll talk slowly.
So knowing that we've got, I love it. Knowing that we've got Q&A coming up, I'm not gonna be able to answer everybody's question, knowing with only 20 minutes I can only go up here. I wanna eat my own dog food. If you go to twitter.com/GaryVee or facebook.com/Gary and you have any question, I will stay up until my eyes are bleeding to answer your question. Thank you.
What does social media look like in 2015? Is it still 140 characters?
2015? You know, I like to usually say, I don't know. I actually don't usually care about being Nostradamus and predicting crap. I just want to execute on the reality instead of what I think all of us are doing, which is marketing like 10 years ago. But in 2015, I can tell you this. I think mobile devices are going to be the device that carries the information to us, and we have to understand the dynamics of a world like this. I know that on Facebook, if you put a video over 10 seconds, that means 10 to 4 hours, that it does worse than if you've got 9 seconds, because people in a stream world, if they see 9 seconds, will consume it. So we're all desperate to kind of close what we're trying to close. We have to understand how these platforms work, different than a 30-second spot, or a piece of direct mail, or a magazine ad.
Great. I know you've advised for some large companies. I know you've advised for some large companies, but there are several people here who run small companies or even are just starting their own blog. What advice would you give to them?
Well, that's what I come from, right? I had a small family business, and so what I can tell you is this. The best part of all of this, guys, is that this equalizes the cash game. The big guys are wasting cash on dumb shit, and you can figure out how to actually market where the customers are. We are all, every person in this room is in the content business. When I started Wine Library TV on YouTube in 2006, which is really what catapulted me, I didn't want to sell more wine. I wanted to become America's wine guy. If you have expertise or knowledge about your craft, give away the IP that you think is so valuable, give it to the world, and watch what the value comes back to you. Because information has never been less valuable. It's all right here. Remember when being smart mattered? It's all here now.
Thank you very much, Gary. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.